So when he said it was a go, man, and then he said, how'd you like to know where you're going? And everybody thought, that'd probably be a pretty good idea. He said, we're going to hit a camp called Son Tay. It's approximately 23 miles west of Hanoi. He said, anybody feel uncomfortable with that? He says, we'll face the wall and you can walk out and nothing will ever be said. Well, nobody had the cojones to do that. So we all went back, packed up all our gear, got all our stuff together. We got enclosed in vans. We moved on to the airfield, and here's the C-130 with the same crew chief and the same pilot and co-pilot. Got on the aircraft. We flew from Thakli up to a place called Lupyak, which is on the border of Laos and Thailand. We landed, and those guys at airfield up there, all they did, at air base up there, all they did for the last 10 days, they said, was maintain those helicopters. Just get them up to peak condition. They didn't know why, but we landed there. As we got off the airplane, we went over, and just like old home week, man. Here we met, all the pilot and the co-pilot, the guys that we'd been flying with for the last 3 months or so. We got on the aircraft and we took off and we started flying up into Laos. And then we got up in Laos, we flew back east going towards the Son Tay. We got to the mountains, and what had happened is when we got to the mountains, now Bull Simons and Madnor before that was with the Admiral on the Gulf of Tonkin. They'd already flying there, and they made arrangements with them with everything flying. So about the time we got to the mountains, the aircraft launched all their aircraft off the ships and everything like that, and they saturated with rockets, dropped flares, dropped these firefight simulators that the Air Force has. That sounds like small firefights going on. They could last for up to 30, 40 minutes, I guess. And when they hit the ground, it sounds like machine gun, hand grenades, and everything just like 4th of July, man. And all these things going off, and it sounds just like a firefight. And dropped numerous of those, dropped little parachutes through the skies. So it looked like a big invasion coming from the coast. The aircraft, the radar sites and all that stuff turned towards their radars to the side. We come down across the Five Fingers Valley, crossed the lakes, and never had a shot fired at us. We went in. Now here was the little catch. When we got in, we got close, our airplane started banking off. And the first thing I thought, man, we missed our LZ. Well, the greenleaf bird flew down into this other camp, they said, another schoolhouse. Looked just like the prison war camp. We righted and we moved on in. Of course, what happened in our bird, one of our helicopters went across the H-853, and when his miniguns opened up on the guard towers and took out the guard towers, the Air Force 130 dropped the big flare and lit up the sky. We come across, we opened up with our miniguns, and all the buildings were on fire, outside the building, not inside the prison war camp. Blue Boy, of course, went in, we went in, and as soon as I got off, I knew that my mission had changed because there was no Greenleaf. They were not there. So I went to Green, and we went and did what we were supposed to do. Greenleaf in turn hit the camp down south, and as they got off the airplane, of course, all these guys come out of these buildings. Well, they weren't Vietnamese. They were all Chinese. So what it was is a missile. They were there as liaison to be advisors on the new SAM missile sites and all that stuff from China and all that stuff.
So like barracks full of these advisors.
Yeah, so what they did, of course, got a big firefight down there, and they took out a lot of Chinese, I guess. And so in the meantime, I'm got off the airplane. I'm going through the building, and I got a machine gunner and an M79er and myself, of course, going. And this little guy jumps up in the window and he goes, and of course, my machine gunner and M79 see him about the same time. Went in, I threw hand grenades in the building and all that stuff. And as they're coming out the back of the building, there comes 3 of them running down, and it took them out. So we took out. They had the guards and all that stuff. And just about that time, by about 8 minutes goes on, and we got the word from the inside that it was a dry hole. That we rehearsed this. We could have done this in about 17 minutes, cleared the camp, got everything out. But we stayed on the ground about 30 minutes to make sure that there was no guys in holes or in buildings or like that, that we really secured the area before we took off. Double check.
Like, no way.
That's
Double
right.
check it.
Yeah, of course. You talk about a kick in the guts. It really, you know, it's really after all that training, going in there, getting in there, shooting up the whole place and taking out a lot of people, and find out that there's no prisoners. That's very despondent, man. And what we wanted to do is when we got on back, we wanted to reload and go and take it out another camp, but of course, they wouldn't let us because we didn't rehearse for it. So we got back, and then when we got back into Thak Li, of course, we pretty badly shaken up.